Hey, 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 and more hey. Welcome to day 6. Um, so today I mentioned yesterday I was going to talk about emotional eating, so today is the big day. Um, a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm not an emotional eater." I don't know, because there's an extreme depiction that emotional eaters are people who they get depressed and then they just eat a whole big bag of Oreos by themselves, and then they might have a pint of ice cream, and then they might wash it down with a 2-liter bottle of soda. For some people, that is their emotional eating journey. There is another school of emotional eaters. There are those of us who, when we feel stress, then we go to food for eating, and we might not eat that much, like what I listed just a minute ago, but we might make a comfort food choice and say, you know what, I just want a big bowl of mac and cheese. I lost my wallet, and I'm just going to have whatever the hell I want to eat. That is a form of emotional eating. I'm an emotional eater in the opposite direction. I'm a person who, if I get depressed, then I will not eat. If I'm depressed, if I'm stressed, my appetite goes away. It's the first thing to go. And I can literally go days at a time without eating. And that is my personal struggle with emotional eating. So it can be the opposite direction as well. So at some level, almost everybody that I know is an emotional eater. And I don't want you to feel guilty about this because there are lots of really good reasons that we are emotional eaters. One, American culture is all about celebrations with food. So it's not your fault. You've kind of been inundated with this since childhood. Think about it. When we have birthday parties, it's somehow related to having food. When we do 4th of July, Memorial Day, when we do Thanksgiving, all of our holidays are really about get together with your family, eat all kinds of crazy things, and go for it. Is this a bad thing? It's not. It's tradition, and they're important, and it's times when we get together with our families. So I'm not saying like don't have a Thanksgiving dinner, or like absolutely not. Please do eat and enjoy and be merry. What shouldn't happen, however, is that you're making these type of comfort food choices every single day, and that's where we start to get in a little trouble zone, if you will. We don't want that to be a habit every day because life is completely unpredictable. So you're going to have stress in life. You're going to have sad days. You're going to have trials and obstacles. And you don't want to be that person who always goes to food. The other good reason that you're probably an emotional eater without you necessarily knowing is that there are a number of foods that cause a release in hormones like dopamine and serotonin. And those are hormones that we call them feel-good hormones. And so they're the same hormones that get released when you get high off of drugs. So if you were, I don't know, smoking a bowl, or you were to go snort cocaine, these same hormones release. So they are feel-good hormones. So food can actually give you a high. So how do we deal with emotional eating? How do we get control of that and make it so that it's not the go-to thing? You have to start to find positive ways to cope. That's just the only way that I can say that. There's not any way around that. So something that I like to do when I find myself in the depressed state and I don't want to eat, then I ask myself, okay, Sabrina, is hurting yourself by not eating helping your situation? 9 times out of 10, the answer to that is no. So like, for example, I was hurt because somebody let me down. They didn't stand up for me in a situation, and I didn't want to eat dinner because I just didn't have an appetite then, and I was going to go to bed hungry, without eating. And I had to ask myself, okay, is starving yourself making that person stand up for you? Okay, it's not. So what can we do? And I called the person and we had a conversation, and if it's a situation where you can't address it right away, make a journal. If you're the other way around, and opposite of me where you're going to eat, ask yourself, am I eating because I'm hungry? Or am I eating because I feel some type of way? Ask yourself, if I'm eating this, is it going to make me feel good now? And am I going to feel good about it tomorrow? If you can't say yes about both of those things, then probably you need to put it down. Another thing that I do if I have a crap day, like perfect example, I got pulled over the other day I was so mad. It was a ridiculous thing to get pulled over for. I got pulled over because I was in the right turn lane, and I didn't put on my blinker before I made the turn. And the officer not only pulled me over, but also took the time to call it in and also wrote me a ticket for it. I was so disturbed at this minute offense that I wanted to, when he left and I was heading home, I wanted to pull over and go to Wendy's and get, Wendy's I get a Frosty. I wanted to go get a chocolate Frosty, and I wanted to get a Nacho Supreme out of Taco Bell. That's like two of my vices, cheese and ice creams, my two vices. And that's what I wanted to do because I felt so crappy. It just totally blew my high. I was like on cloud nine, and it just totally blew me that this guy really pulled me over for that. And I didn't do that. I stopped myself and I said, you know, that's not going to make the ticket go away. That's not going to help me with my personal goals of staying healthy. And so I did not pull over. And you have to ask yourself those questions. The other things that you'll want to do is really figure out healthy coping mechanisms. So some things you can do in the heat of a moment, drop of a dime that doesn't take anything for you to do. Chew gum so that your mouth is occupied. So get something in there so you're busy, so you don't put other food in it. If you're home, brush your teeth, because then you're less likely to go pick up garbage because your mouth is all clean. I like to sing a song sometimes when I feel really crappy. I will sing a song and try to get myself motivated to do something else. Find a way to busy your hands. If you're someone who picks up food all the time as a comfort, do something with your hands. I don't care if it's coloring in a coloring book. Get your hands busy and your mind a little occupied so that you're doing something besides brooding and this nasty feeling that's going to start spiraling you. And then the last thing that I would say is I'm a big fan of journals. Some of you know I'm a poet, I'm a writer, so I'm a big fan of journals. If you're really feeling down and you're having a hard time shaking a feeling and you're you want to kind of let that feeling go without consuming a whole bag of potato chips, open up a journal and just write it down. Write down what it is that you feel. Write down all the reasons you feel that way, what you expected. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be legible. It doesn't have to be anything that you're going to share with anybody else. But you need to get all of those feelings out of your system. By the time you finish that journal, whether it's one page or you wind up writing 7 pages about how PO'd you are at your husband for, I don't know, not cleaning the garage or for not changing the tire, and then you had a blowout on the street and you were in danger and you were stranded. Write it all down and get it out, because by the time you finish writing that, you're going to feel better. So those are some healthy coping tips. I will post in our file some other tips for you, but I think it's really important to get a hold of those things and to identify also what type of emotional eater you are, and identify what your vices are, so that way you know and you can be prepared when the incident happens for you to deal with it. Cool. So I will see you guys tomorrow.